What is up, everybody?
What is
Welcome
up,
back to the Against the Grain Talk Show. I am Ghost Pepper.
Hey, I'm JV.
And today we have a special guest. You want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, so this is do you have a like a thing you want to go by? I guess Taylor.
The Beach Bum.
The Beach Bum. All right.
things.
What's your
Yeah,
what's your
I got-
Instagram handle?
Oh, I have one of those.
Yeah. What's the handle?
It's ET Craig 24.
All right, so you can
Yeah.
check him out there. He's
That's our
always
guy.
posting cool pictures of
That's our dude.
nature and stuff. So,
Mr. Navy
A
himself.
couple of photos.
yep. So
I call him the big swimmer.
Nothing that you have to censor though. It's kids friendly.
kids friendly. We're kid friendly.
Oh, absolutely. We love the
Sometimes.
kids. We love the kids.
After post processing and
Yeah.
editing,
Yeah.
we're kid friendly.
Yeah, a little bit.
I feel kind of awkward being between you two.
I like 4-letter words.
Why is it awkward between us?
Obviously, you know.
You don't got to look at this. You got to look at that. That's the camera
Yeah.
over there. You just look over there. This is
Absolutely.
for me.
Yeah.
This isn't for you.
Right,
So-
right.
But how's everybody doing? I know it's been a little while since we've been on. We've all pretty much had a lot of personal stuff going on in our lives, a lot of work and stuff. So we haven't been able to get on and film recently. So we're trying to get back into it. There has been a lot of stuff in the news cycle lately. I'm sure most people are aware of what's going on. We got babies in the background. Oh no. So I'm sure everybody's aware of what's going on in Afghanistan right now, and with us pulling our troops out and the complete botchery that it's been. So
Don't ever pull out.
he did not know how to do that. He never learned, I guess, not properly. Anyway, if this was a pullout game, that person would be pregnant right now.
With triplets.
That's how that would go.
He's just so terrible. It's like, what kind of decisions is this guy making? From the moment that he got into office, he's been making bad decisions.
I think that's a lot of it, though, is that he wasn't actually making any decisions. Like, he was so, like, flippy-floppy about what he wanted to do. And the fact that he waited so long without a plan to get our people out of there, it just shows how incompetent he is at this point.
Facts.
I don't think he
facts.
was actually thinking about any of that. I think he just kind of went into it just trying to, put something out there like he was doing something that was progressive.
Yeah.
And, that's what it shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zero planning.
Yeah. And it just shows that a lot of the things that they did when it came to Afghanistan and a lot of other things that the military was doing, it was all in spite of Trump. So all of these policies and all this work that Trump had did to make everything better and to get our troops home, because we've been there for 20 years.
Well, that's been from day one. Day
Yeah.
one, he came in and he was like, I'm going to reverse everything that Trump did. Like,
Literally.
even if it was good.
Yeah, even if it was good,
Like, you
if
might not like the man
Yeah.
for who he was and what he said and his rhetoric and stuff like that, but you can't deny that a lot of his policies actually did benefit a lot of people.
Yes.
And the fact that they were just wanting to like, oh, let's just orange man bad. It's
Yeah.
basically what it was the whole time.
Bad, mean tweets. I'm like, man, look, toughen up, bro.
What happened to thicker skin? Like, what happened to people? Like, did each generation like slowly get softer and softer?
Yeah, they did though. They did.
Like, and how are we the way that we are when everybody else is so soft and so sensitive to everything? But
true.
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's
to me.
like everyone's walking around on eggshells because they're afraid to get canceled or they're afraid for someone to judge them. And it's just like, at this point,
cancel us.
Cancel us, right? And at this point, everyone in America knows at this point with Joe Biden in office that things are just not adding up. And no one can deny that. We, on the other hand, we knew all this was going to happen.
Yeah.
But the others, right? And I'm not going to, I'm not going to speak on, calling people names, but the others are now waking up, but they're so ashamed that they got bamboozled.
Yeah.
That they're afraid to speak up. And they're afraid to tell everybody that something is going on because they don't want to speak up against the vax. They don't want to speak up about the bad decisions that the government has been making with this new administration. That, they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be anyone to haggle.
They don't want to
them.
be outcast.
Yeah, they don't want to be
That's what's
outcast.
happening nowadays.
Exactly.
Anytime you speak against the quote unquote establishment, you're being outcast from society.
Absolutely.
We're slowly getting to those social credit scores that we were talking about a
yeah,
few weeks ago.
absolutely.
Like slowly, we're getting to them.
Slowly. Like the simple fact that there are a group of people out there that actually feel that people should be forced to do something. It doesn't matter what you're being forced to do. It doesn't matter if it's a vaccine. It doesn't matter if it's going somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's answering questions, showing your ID. It does not matter what it is. The fact that people can be forced to do something with their body is blowing my mind.
Yeah. Well, a large portion of that actually comes from, you jumping down the rabbit hole. They've basically had this coming on them, and everybody understands, hey, this is what the societal norm was, and we followed this for so long. We agreed with it so long. So now we don't want to look like we're doing something wrong by going against it. And so they're accepting a lot of stuff. Normally they win.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just kind of like, you lead the person to just along the path, and then eventually it's not the path they originally started on.
True. And everything evolves. Like when you're in the control of anything, especially a large group of people, you cannot keep the same tactics forever. Everything has to evolve because society evolves. So they used war at the beginning because, as technology start becoming, more and more used by the common folk, more and more information has been shared, right? In the past, we're thinking about even like Vietnam and before that, there wasn't a lot of information. So people didn't know why we were going to war. The only reason that they knew that what we were fighting for was because what? The media, the newspapers told them what we were doing over there.
Yeah.
So now people can question and they can do their own research and they can understand that the agenda has been there, but they have to change it because it's evolved. Racism there's not as much like racism like there was back in Jim Crow.
Yeah.
Right. So they understand that, and being that they understand that all of us, especially like our generation, we're all like loving each other. We're all like coming together and stuff. And they see that is going to cause a problem with their agenda and with it. So they have to evolve it.
Right.
Now they gave us a new reason to hate each other.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you're not vaccinated, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Indian, Asian. If you're not vaccinated and we're the same race and you're unvaccinated, then they're like, oh, I'm not talking to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's separating people on all fronts.
Right.
There's not a group of people that's just stuck together. It's like, hey, we need to stick together as a people. Now they're separating us on a large scale.
Right.
That's the head of the nail with the hammer, like 100%, because what you're saying is basically that they are picking certain aspects that people care about, and they're inflating certain issues, and they're creating this necessity for people to join together against certain problems, and they're using that in order to basically fill their own aims, fill their own goals.
Absolutely.
And that's with racism, that's with everything that you see out right now.
And what blows my mind about Afghanistan is they have so many minerals. And I think it's like, besides Africa, like they're one of like the top 5 countries of natural resources. Lithium is one of them. And what is this country trying to do? What did Biden say he's trying to do? He's trying to convert cars to electric. First of all, do you know how much money that's going to cost?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, a Tesla is at least $60,000.
Not only that, but just the environmental damage that it does, like overall. I know, like a lot of people that are like, "Oh, well, we're all for the environment."
Yeah, the carbon footprint.
Yeah, the carbon footprint.
Yeah.
The amount. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was saying, the power actually for the lithium batteries has to come from somewhere. And so if you're providing that much power to any source, you're not going to be able to sustain it with your solar power, except for few areas like Hawaii or even like some portions of California, because most places, I mean, you're not going to sustain that with solar power in Seattle.
Yeah, no.
There's
like,
just,
and Seattle is constant in shade because of the rain and stuff.
Inconsistent wind. Like you're not going to be able to sustain it there. So you're still going to have to power this somehow.
Yeah.
And the cleanest form of energy we have is nuclear power.
True.
And everybody freaks out about that. Everybody wants to regulate it based off the government, based off of premises set by other places like Chernobyl or Fukushima or something like that.
Right.
But you compare those standards, and then on top of it, like you were saying, like lithium, if you look at the actual mines for those, it's desolate all around it because they have to destroy everything to mine.
Think about
lithium.
the waste
on
that's
top
going
of
to come from that.
Yeah.
High fission products that are actually like they don't degrade at the same rate of other materials. Like that is all hazardous waste after your battery goes bad.
Yeah.
After 10 years, I think is the estimate for a electric car for a battery, they say you have to replace it about every 10 years.
Yeah.
So you're just producing more hazardous waste that we're not getting rid of. So
and we don't know how to handle it at this point. Like I'm sure in the future that we're going to come up with more successful ways of actually recycling and disposing of these products. But right now we don't have the resources and or the technology to be able to do it. And yet we're trying to push it so hard to where the point where I think Joe Biden said that by the year 2035 that we want to be off of carbon, basically. And I'm like, dude, that's like 10 years away. Like, how are you going to do that in 10 years? Like, there's no way.
You're not even going to be in office in 10 years, bro. Dude, he's not. His old ass ain't even going to survive through his whole term. Okay, like
at the rate he's going, and that's the crazy thing too about Afghanistan right now. So, and this is from USA today. The latest update is that we've now had a total of 13 service members that have been killed over in Afghanistan.
So they actually released a number now.
Yes. And that was a suicide bomber this morning.
Right. So the attack on Kabul airport Thursday, U.S. officials confirmed that 13 U.S. service members were killed. The latest number of injuries is now 18, all of whom are in the process of being aeromedically evacuated. So
we can automatically expect for that number to be higher because they're not ever going to tell us the truth in the media. So they're actually right now, the media is on defense for Joe Biden. So like they're trying to do everything they can to lower what's going on and make it less important, make it less, like
that's what they've been dangerous from the start.
Yeah, and like, dude, you can't. It is a fireball right now. Yeah. Like even Democrats are getting pissed at Joe Biden at this point.
So much to the point right now that there are so many people calling for the impeachment of Joe Biden right now that it actually astonishes me. Yeah. Like there was never that many people, and especially
most popular vote.
Yeah, right.
most popular president. But just, I mean, think about it, because if you see how badly the United States media has turned on Joe Biden over this whole Afghanistan thing. Yeah. Versus, the other things that he's done that have dramatically impacted us, that the media has just swept under the rug or changed the narrative to where it shows Biden in a good light. The fact that they're actually turning on him about this, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kudos to some of the media that are actually going after this in a way. But at the same point, I mean, we could have told you this 3 months ago.
We did tell him that. Did we not?
I mean, at the beginning of June, he was saying, oh, yeah, no, that would never happen. There would never be a complete takeover from the Taliban, and that we won't have to airlift people out of there from the embassies and all this other stuff.
Like they did in Iraq, in the embassy during Vietnam.
And Vietnam, and
Iraq.
Said,
it's not going to be another one of those.
Like
and literally, they took the same picture.
Yep. And then not only that, but when the media start pushing Joe Biden on, they're like, hey, how many U.S. citizens do we have in there? And nobody's able to say how many U.S. citizens. How do we not know how many people we have over there? How do we not know how many people that we had working for us and helping us, all the Afghanis that were helping us?
Well, a good portion of that probably actually comes from the whole Vietnam thing as well, because a lot of people, when they actually went through that embassy, they took lists of the people that actually were registered over in Vietnam.
Right.
And then those people were suffering because of that. So basically they leave it up to people going into Afghanistan to register with the embassy to actually be like, oh, okay.
But at the same point, the Taliban came out today and said, oh, yeah, we have a list of everybody that's over here.
Right. And
like, we know all the
probably
Americans
tracking everybody that comes
and on top of that, the Americans, Biden's administration today. So they came out and said that yesterday, right?
Right.
Today, Biden's administration came out and said that they just gave the Taliban a recent list of the people that they need to evacuate. I'm like, so you're telling me the Taliban took over the city? They already had a list.
It took them 10 days.
They had a rough list of all the Americans, and they were already going through trying to find them and killing them already.
Oh, yeah.
And they just said, hey, you know what? Look, hey, let us just slide you these names. Can we get them real quick?
Right.
Can we grab them?
No, it's
no. We're gonna shoot them.
It's been an absolute complete disaster, 100% through and through. I don't know how anybody at this point is defending Joe Biden's actions. I don't even know how his press secretary comes out and says, "Oh yeah, no, we're doing great."
She's gonna circle
back. This was expected. She's gonna circle back.
Well, he came out after all the Americans that were just recently killed. He came out and said that there will be retaliation. I'm like, oh, so we're going to go back in there now that you just handed them millions of dollars of weapons?
Yeah, like
the Taliban.
They were
on Twitter. The Taliban was toting pictures of them dressed up and have all the American
Everything, bro.
uniforms and everything like that.
Special
what's
forces,
up?
bro.
I'm like, really?
The Taliban special forces, bro. They had the 50 cals. They were joyriding in the Black Hawk helicopters. When did these fuckers learn how to fly helicopters?
Here's the thing that I don't know. So I know a lot of it was supplied to the Afghan government or to the Afghan government and the Afghan military. And I realized that they gave up like it was nobody's business.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't even put up a fight.
Nothing.
But at the same point, I know for a fact that all the equipment that they have was not just from the Afghan army. I'm sure some of it was out of some of our bases and stuff like that. Why were those bases that we had there not bombed and destroyed?
So when we left Iraq, they took over Iraq. So a lot of the weapons we left to Iraq, because I was the last unit in Iraq for Iraqi New Dawn.
Yeah.
So when we literally left all of our MRAPs there. We left all of our vehicles, all of our technology, the drones, the everything.
Right.
And 4 months later, all of it was taken over. So they used all of that stuff and sent it to Afghanistan too. So not only do they have all of Iraq's stuff that we left them, we did leave Iraq all of our M16s from the Vietnam War, right?
Yeah.
So we left them all of our M16s. We actually shipped that stuff over from our U.S. Armory and gave it to them. Thousands and thousands of automatic weapons, bro. They're just piled up in rooms over there. I'm just like, wow. Did you see all the money that they had? They had billions of dollars in U.S. cash, fresh, still wrapped in the paper.
Yeah, I'm still having a hard time buying guns out here, and I'm in Texas, so that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. All right. And so it is just the whole thing. The fact that, everybody's coming down on Biden so hard. I really hope that something comes of it. But at the same time, I'm kind of scared because what is the alternative to having Biden right now?
Right.
That would be Kamala Harris.
Well, they're trying to impeach both of them right now because it can't just be Biden.
Right. But here's the thing.
You'd have to remove the entire administration.
Yeah.
Right. That's the other thing that I want to go off on a little bit of a conspiracy theory type. But
tangent.
Everybody's saying, come 2022, they're going to try to put Trump in the House of Representatives and make him Speaker of the House. And then they'll impeach Joe Biden. They'll get rid of Kamala Harris. Nancy Pelosi would be gone. And so then who becomes president at that point? Trump. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Hey,
that would be interesting. It's a bit of a long shot.
Well, yeah, one thing that we do have to understand right now about everything that's going on is that this is actually one of the things that pisses me off is we're all adults here.
Yeah.
All right. 2 of us served in the United States military, right?
2.5 adults.
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah, right.
Am I the half? Is that what that? Okay.
He's just the shortest.
Stop being crayons.
Right. But if we think about it, when did we get to the point in this country where a group of adults can tell another group of adults that they're not intelligent enough to understand the problems going on with our country, whether it be diplomat problems, whether it be, making up laws, regardless of what it is, the vaccine thing, whatever. When did we get to the point where our government can tell us as adults that we just need to, just sit back and let them do all the work, and they go to the White House and then they close the doors and we don't know what's going on and what we have to look forward to when we have all these things happening.
So here's the thing, though, is that a lot of people need to understand that these politicians and everybody that's in office and that is in a place of power, they're really not much smarter than any of us. Like, in all honesty, most of them are probably way dumber. I mean, look at Ocasio-Cortez. I don't know how she got into office.
Nancy Pelosi.
I mean,
what?
The list goes on and on of all these politicians that they might have degrees in something and they might understand politics, but they really don't understand just basic logic.
Facts. And on the other hand, like just like the president has term limits, these politicians, the people that sit in these seats, they need to have term limits as well. Why the hell is Anthony Pelosi, who is like 80 plus years old, still leading this country?
Yeah.
Her and Joe Biden were in office when Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were marching for freedom.
Yeah.
How can their old views lead us into the future healthy?
Yeah. But then at the same point, there's a flip side to that though with the younger crowd, where a lot of these younger people they're just as dumb.
Oh my god,
Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry,
wild.
but
that's wild. Yeah, that's true.
so I mean, I don't
true.
necessarily know if it's necessarily like an age thing or something like that.
It's definitely an age thing because the
I
views
don't
are
know.
different.
So I mean, the views are different, but I mean, everybody has stupid ideas.
That's true.
It doesn't matter what age you are.
Comes down to parenting. Biggest problem we have in America.
That is true.
That's a lot of it, I think, and just the fact. I mean, when you're looking back at this Afghan stuff, right? So we've been in this war for 20 years now.
20.
We have kids serving in the military right now that weren't even alive
When it started.
when 9/11 happened.
Yep. Yeah.
That to me that blows my mind.
It is.
That there's a kids able to go out there that they inherited this war.
Yeah. They weren't even alive for 9/11.
Right. And so they inherited it, right? So we should have been out of there. After we got bin Laden, after we did our job, we should have been out of there.
Dude, we
now-
shot bin Laden in 2009 when I was on a mission to Fallujah.
Right. So
We got the call over the
leave
radio.
a residual force. Leave your bases or a couple bases there. That way you can deal with threats when they arise.
Right.
But we should not have been nation building like we were. That should have never been the case. And for some reason, everybody thought it was a good idea. I know there were a lot of people that were screaming, "Oh yeah, no, get out of Afghanistan," and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, even like Obama and them, they weren't doing anything to get out of there. Trump was the only one that actually pushed to get out of there.
Right.
And then when he makes the deal to get out in May, and then Joe Biden comes in, if Joe Biden wanted to change it, and he's trying to blame Trump right now for, well, this was Trump's plan and
Yeah,
blah, blah,
like
blah.
he inherited the problem.
Right, like
when
he
there wasn't
inherited
a
the
problem.
there wasn't a problem.
Well, wasn't a problem at all.
Trump had a plan. What Biden did was not a plan.
No,
that
well,
was
he-
hey, we're
right.
trying to like signal, oh, we're doing stuff over here, and I think that's basically what it was. Is he was like, hey, look at us, we're actually doing something about this, but he had zero plan to actually pull people out, and you see it with all these American people that are actually getting killed now. And that's the most messed up thing of all of this is we have Americans trapped over there right now. Like
Right.
we have soldiers, we have actual American people over there, and we have the people over there in Afghanistan that were actually helping us with translations and other stuff.
Yeah.
And they're trapped over there.
Yeah,
and you think the
they're
Taliban's going to be polite to
they're
them?
all
No.
marked for dead right now.
Yep.
Oh yeah, all
Every
of
single
them.
one of them.
They,
Every
them
single
and their
person-
families.
Yep.
Taliban
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
just go after you; they go after everything, and
Dude.
that's kind of what it is.
Not to mention that the Taliban are going through the cities, rounding up young children and women, and are doing the most unspeakable things to these people. You know, and they're posting all over the internet like they do not care. And some of those people are Americans. These people, these kids, like there are families over there. There are people that were over there in Afghanistan to help solve a problem. And we
that's-
just left them over there. And as a veteran, bro, like it just doesn't fly with me. It
That's
makes me
messed up,
feel
yo.
some type of way because I've lost brothers
You don't leave
and
them behind.
sisters
It's just
for this war, you
Right.
know, and for us just to like literally just leave,
abandon people. That's-
abandon people. It's like, dude, like
with zero plan in place to
none.
and I know that everybody like there was a deadline, so everybody knew that we were going to be getting out. But at the same point, nobody expected the Taliban to come in 10 days and completely take over the place.
Right.
Nobody expected. I mean, the Afghan army had what 300,000 troops or something like
300,000
that. 300,000 troops. Taliban only had like 75,000.
Yeah.
People total.
Yeah.
And it's not even like they're marching in platoons and going through cities like that. They're just like random guys spread out.
Yeah.
Like it's not like
riding in on camels.
Yeah.
The thing that people got to understand, the Taliban's not like an organized army.
It's
at all.
it's guerrilla warfare.
Right. So
They're like
the
mountain
fact-
goats.
The fact
just
that
running through the fucking mountains.
The fact that they can come in and that quickly disrupt a government that we were supposedly building and helping shows you that our efforts toward that were futile. Absolutely futile.
Yeah.
Should have never been wasting the money, wasting the time on it. Never. It was pointless the whole time.
Well, the biggest problem would be that the people there actually in Afghanistan would have to like commit themselves, and that's one of the biggest issues. Like it's kind of a messed up idea to think about, but none of them actually committed to what America was doing over there.
Well-
Otherwise, like you saw it with all the people trying to climb onto planes as they
Yeah.
were taking
Oh, yeah.
off,
Like
leaving everybody else. Like you have to actually commit to something. Like when
Yeah.
you go out, you think America came in and was like, oh, we're just going to, half-ass this stuff with Britain and everything. And
Yeah.
no, we came in. We're like,
Committed.
we're actually going to fight these people because we want to be free.
Right.
And you just don't see that same commitment.
Well, and I think a lot of the problem stems from the way that Afghanistan is organized, and I don't know how much y'all know, but it's actually like divided into like several different tribes. Like I think it was like 6 or 7 different
Provinces.
tribes. Yeah. So the people aren't even all united in one goal. Like so, and a lot of their borders and stuff like that of their tribalism, it flows over from Afghanistan into other countries, neighboring countries. And so you got like a section of people that might be in like Pakistan and Afghanistan that all think the same. And then the people in Afghanistan right next to them, they also don't think the same. So it's so tribal over there too that it makes it really hard for any sort of cohesive government to be put in place.
Right. Because it's basically it's religion, man. We all know that Afghanistan and Iraq is it's mostly the Muslim religion.
Oh yeah.
Right. Inside that Muslim religion, just like Christianity and things like that, there's different branches of it.
Right.
In between them, it's the Sunnis and the Shiites. Basically, one Muslim group believes that they get 100 virgins when they die, and the other group doesn't believe that they get 100 virgins when they die,
Right.
and they fight over that.
And
and of course, it's more than that too.
I would think too that the difference between like Islam and Christianity in that way is that there's different versions of Christianity or different sects of Christianity, but they all still share some sort of cohesive cohesive like ideology.
Facts.
Whereas Muslim, you can get one person and the amount of hate that they have toward each other for not believing exactly, and you don't find that anywhere else in any sort of other religion other than Islam.
Well, I think there's a bit of a difference also there where, like, if you talk about the Quran, there's different stages where the Quran has changed over time. And the biggest difference is that when you look at the Quran and you look at the Bible for comparison and contrast, the Bible is more of like what I would consider a religion, as opposed to like the Quran gets more into like a political standing, for a structure, for a political government.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where you deviate from that, because you look at that where they say like honor killing of women is okay and like all that stuff, and like, oh, everybody is supposed to be treated with like basically respect but it has that portion where if you're an infidel or you're not actually part of the religion, that you're not actually protected by the same concepts that the Quran encompasses. And
so it would be basically if the Bible was taken and as our Constitution was written, by Christians, and then making the Constitution into some sort of religion.
Yeah, if you actually took the Constitution and you encompassed the ideas of the Bible as law, as opposed to just using them as guidelines, and that's kind of what we do in our country, because a lot of Christian men came up with the Constitution, but the Constitution was also driven by the whole aspect of the tyranny from Britain. So it definitely has a lot of those aspects, and you see it in the First and Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. But then the Quran is more of like, it's actually changed over time to kind of encompass these ideas. And you saw it with the leaders at the time changing certain aspects of it in order to match what their personal preference or political preference was at the time. Yeah. And that's kind of where it's kind of deviated from what it was originally.
Right. Yeah. And so then that kind of just leads down man trying to
control people with religion.
Right. Yeah. But that's any religion. That's the Bible. Like the Bible was man-made, and of course, they of course, any man with an agenda over the years, we all played telephone when we were in elementary school, and it was all stories, right? So everyone just told these stories time and time and time again. And
you went to a real school?
Yeah, sometimes. I went for the snacks. But
goldfish.
Yeah, right? Hey, that school pizza was no joke. All right?
It tastes like cardboard.
But yeah, definitely see what you're saying.
Right,
there,
right. But like over the years, it's going to change. Like King Solomon was the one that put together the first Bible. You know what I'm saying? He was like, hey, take all these scriptures. We're going to put them in this book. And that was the first book. How many books of the Bible or how many Bibles have been written since the very first one? Like even the LBGD community got their own
all
Bible.
The letters,
right?
Alphabet.
They got their own Bible now. You know what I'm saying? So like, who are we to sit there? Like that just proves, just like you say, the Quran was altered to fit an agenda. That's every man-made book.
And
you know,
well, so the difference was that actually passages were added to the Quran over the time that were politically motivated. The Bible hasn't had new passages added to it. It just has people trying to manipulate it in certain ways to control certain aspects of society in general. And you see it with arguments with people on Facebook, online, all that stuff, which was another aspect you brought up earlier that I thought was kind of interesting is all these postings from Afghan about like the killing of people, like public beheadings, and all these are just circulating perfectly fine on these social medias, but they want to actually like cut back and censor people if they want to talk about like certain aspects right now, like COVID or other things.
Exactly.
And that was kind of interesting to me that like these social platforms are allowing.
Yeah. And just the fact that the Taliban has its own Twitter handle,
right?
Like they didn't they take down Trump?
They took Trump off, the sitting president of a democracy.
They're saying we're peacefully going to march,
right?
And you're oh, okay.
But yet the Taliban is allowed
to behead people on Twitter.
A blue check mark verified account on his platform. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
It's nuts.
Like if you can't see the
hypocrisy,
the partisanship of it, just based off of that.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it nuts, guys, that the media has the power to take down anything on the internet, any website? They can shadow ban a website. They could take down a website. They can take down profiles. They can do all that. But pedophilia is still on the internet.
I saw that post earlier today. That made me laugh so hard. I was like, well, and you got a point though. It's like, so how is it that we're calling for vaccine cards especially in like New York right now, and New Orleans and Chicago and Los Angeles, where they're mandating that you get the vaccine or you don't be a part of public society?
Right.
How is it that we have to have a card to go out into public because of a cold, basically? I know that it's worse than a cold, but just basically because of a cold, but yet pedophiles and everything aren't. I mean, yeah, they got to register, but they don't got to carry a card in when they go into Baskin Robbins and say, "Hey, I'm a pedophile. Can you serve me here?"
They don't necessarily have to register if they're in California.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like California is like, "Oh yeah, no, you're fine."
That bill, if it's within 15 years,
if it's within 10 years or 15 years or whatever it is, then man, you're good. You go back out.
You know what's even more crazy?
To a judge.
They want us to get vaccines, and then they're like, some of the companies you have to take multiple vaccines, but we all know it's going to be a seasonal thing every year, right?
Oh yeah.
We have to seasonally take a vaccine is where they want us to get. But these pedophiles and sex offenders don't have to come in yearly, monthly, anything to even check in, to show where they are, to show what they've been doing, to go through counseling, to go through help. They have to go through a program initially when they get registered. But after they've been registered and they've gone through their little sex offender class, right? Kid toucher class, right?
Yeah.
After they do that, they're free to go. It's like getting a DUI and just continuously on with your life after you pay the $5,000. You know what I'm saying? Like
picking us over in Hawaii. Pretty sure some of those guys had 3 or 4 DUIs and they still didn't have their license revoked.
Oh, right.
It's just the hypocrisy of the establishment right now, and it goes on both sides too. Like it really does. But the only side that I see fighting anti-establishment right now is the right.
Right.
That's the only people that I see standing up for people's right. Even like you can see it in the polling numbers just with Joe Biden right now. I mean, he's down 6% with Democrats right now.
What?
And he's down like something like I think 20% with independents.
Oh yeah, he's down.
He's at his lowest rating right now at like 46.
Well, I think that's the
like
biggest problem.
Yeah, something like that.
I think a large portion of the left has actually kind of deviated from what the Democratic Party is currently. I think that's where there's a separation because the Democratic Party has just shifted too far, and whereas the Republicans are still rather consistent over.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem is where you're seeing a lot of these conflicting ideologies between the two groups and why you see more independent growing as well. I mean, you saw the last votes. I mean, just in Hawaii on our Hawaii votes, like there's a large portion of independent voters out there.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's just record high compared to normal.
That's one thing that's making me a little bit nervous about Texas is how many people are coming over from like California, New York, and these blue states that are just enacting horrible policies.
Flood states.
Right.
So that's one thing that worries me is that, you know, Texas is already pretty purple. I mean, we've stayed pretty red for the most part, but it's getting closer and closer to turning and being one of those swing states, like really hard swing states. But if you have all these Democrats coming in, and I don't know what percentage of them are independents versus how many of them are like pure Democrats coming over, but if that number stays Democratic, because the Democratic Party has its tribalism right now, where they're not going to vote for a Republican no matter what. They've been trained in the media that all Republicans are bad, they're racist, they're homophobic, they're sexist, all these things. And so if you don't get more independents coming in, and you just get all these tribalisms coming in. Now, if they stay in the large cities, we're fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're fine.
Yeah,
as long as they stay in the large cities.
And that's mostly where they're moving.
When they start moving out into the rural areas and start flipping these rural areas that are predominantly red into blue, and then we lose the votes.
Right.
That's where it's going to hurt us.
So you're talking about my wife coming to Houston, right?
Yeah.
But just
your
kinda,
wife is all right.
Just kind of like I was talking to you about earlier, Ghost, is like all of these politicians, like our government right now is corrupt on every level, right? That's why we keep on having truthful information come out, like Fauci in the emails, Hillary in her emails, all, Como, all of these different people, right? We can kind of see what's going on with this, right? But the thing about it is that the average person doesn't understand that when we talk about an agenda, we're serious. And it's not just about, like, for me, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm more of an independent. I'm more of a neutral source, because I think all politicians in this country are biased for themselves. Like, it doesn't matter how good they are, what they're doing. They're going to do something to benefit their side and themselves to make sure that they're okay.
Right.
Like, why are any of our politicians right now millionaires?
Doesn't make any sense.
So they got, not only are they millionaires, they're not just millionaires by getting over 200, like most of the politicians make over 200 grand a year. And on top of that, they get insider trading, they get book deals and all this. So they're like athletes almost, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they're getting all this stuff so they can help out the people that need the help on their end so they can make money.
Which, speaking of book deals, though, again, going back to Andrew Cuomo, how many people, I wonder, because a year ago when we were talking all this crap about Cuomo and how he was doing so bad with the pandemic and everything, and everybody's defending him.
Yeah,
defending him.
Even Biden,
like saying how wonderful he is.
They
and
love him.
He's the best governor, and he's the one to handle this. He killed so many people, putting them back into those COVID patients back into the nursing homes.
Yep.
And then now this comes out, and he finally steps down, and
that was
the media turned against him. As soon as the election was over, though, they waited until the election was over
because they needed him.
It was basically just propaganda. That's all it was.
They needed him to shut New York down.
And then he's putting out book deals about how I handled the pandemic.
Yeah,
and he's making money off that. So now they're investigating that because that is criminal at that point. That he's making profits off of basically a pandemic or whatever. And he wasn't doing all the things that he said he was doing, and he was actually doing illegal stuff.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many of those people that were defending him that I've talked to, and I know you're out there. I don't know if you're watching this podcast, but I know you're out there. How on earth are you going to sit there and try to tell me that, oh yeah, no, he did great? Do you still think that?
Right.
I wonder how many people are actually changing their minds right now, because everybody that I've talked to so far, even and now not since Afghanistan, but before that, everybody's still defending him.
Right.
Everybody's still saying what a great job he's doing.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying. Like, they keep leading these people up, and they keep putting this stuff out, and
they're
people
using
believe it, and then they get into a position where, well, if I disagree with what the mainstream is, then I'm going to be ostracized. I'm going to be put up on that pedestal and judged. But
right.
And so they'll keep feeding into that, and then they'll defend it, and it just creates this sort of perpetuation.
Yeah, and don't forget the part about the simple fact of, you're talking about him killing all those old people in retirement homes. He should have went down for that, but he didn't.
No,
they didn't allow him to go down for that because that would have included too many other people.
Yeah.
And they wanted to just say, hey, they're using the people for what they need them for, and they were like, hey, we can't let them get taken down for this whole thing with the old people's homes. But you know what? Shit, let's get them for being touchy. Let's just get them out for that.
Yeah.
Let's cover up this other stuff. And that's what they did, bro. And that's how shady this government is. And on every level, they have the power to literally, hey, you know what? He killed all those people. Let's push that to the side. Hey, media, push this story. And they talk to him like, hey, bro, you're gonna go to prison for the rest of your life, or we can get you for touching these females real quick, and you can just get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
Misdirection.
Yep. There we go. That's how it goes, man. And for the most part, man, that's exactly what they're doing.
And then getting into like the whole liberty thing.
Yeah.
So right now, and I want to touch on this a little bit, but just to see where the authoritarianism is going in this country right now, look at Australia right now. I don't know if y'all been keeping up with Australia and what's going on in Australia, and everybody points to Australia. Anytime it's like a gun debate or anytime it's a freedom debate, they're like, oh, well, Australia's doing things right?
Yeah.
Nobody has guns in Australia.
They took their guns away.
We have the lowest gun violence and everything like that.
Right.
What's happening to the Australian people right now?
Bruh, they can't, dude, they're fighting for their lives right now. The Australian government has literally forced them into their homes. If anybody leaves their homes, they're getting arrested. They're criminals. Because someone's not wearing a mask, they're being told that they're a criminal.
A criminal for not wearing a piece of fabric over their face. It doesn't even work.
Y'all don't even. The U.S. government doesn't even arrest every person with HIV that infects another person without wearing a condom and telling them,
or smoking a cigarette in public.
Exactly right. So
the list goes on and on.
Singapore does.
So
they'll get on you for smoking a cigarette in public.
Do you want to be like Singapore?
No,
The point
not.
is that it's very authoritarian what they're doing, and they're actually making freaking camps right now. They're making health camps.
Right.
They're health camps.
Pepper spraying kids
to put COVID positive patients into.
Right. Until they get healthy.
We're not allowed to say anything related to 1945.
No.
Not allowed to say it, but I'm just saying they're putting them in camps.
Yep.
Wait, is that one of the banned things?
That's one of the things that you can't make related jokes to that or anything like that. But
we can support,
comparisons. But they're putting them in freaking camps.
Yeah. And for people that sit out there right now, if you're sitting out there right now and you're putting yourself in a position to sit there and judge somebody that doesn't trust an experimental shot, you're wrong. Like, you can't sit there and force somebody to be as scared as you. Everyone is not in your position. Like, they're sitting out here putting about all this different stuff, and we're talking about Australia. Like, come on, man. Like, we've never, ever in our lifetime in the United States ever seen so much money being put into like advertisement for something, right? And then you got Australia out there fighting for their lives, and the media is barely telling us.
I would say
about what's going on.
Half the problem with Australia is that most people are not. Most people are not fighting this.
No.
Most people are just going along with it. Like, that makes sense.
That's because people feel like they can't do anything at this point.
They had one riot, or I say riot, a protest that turned into them basically arresting people.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Like, they have no leverage against their government.
True.
Which is what our Second Amendment was made for.
And they have no guns.
So that we have leverage against our government. If our government decides to go batshit crazy and come out there and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna enforce this, then we go.
Oh yeah, and then you already know who already gonna be there, like, front lines. Big JV. I'm gonna be right there, baby. Body Slam Central. Let's go.
Door-to-door salesman. Here's your COVID shot.
Right now,
let them knock on my door, bro.
Right now, as it stands, our Second Amendment right is the only thing stopping our government from being Australia right now.
Right.
That's the only thing stopping us.
We outnumber. They can't arrest all of us, bro. When they let's just say it does get crazy. Let's just say, because the FDA has approved the Pfizer.
Yeah, they approved it. Yeah,
they approved.
But so they're saying the Johnson & Johnson will probably follow in a few weeks.
It doesn't even come down to anymore whether or not this is an experimental vaccine or whether or not it works or whether or not it doesn't work. What it comes down to is informed consent by the person to choose what they do medically.
Right.
That's what it boils down to. And the fact that they're trying to bypass that and force people to get a vaccine that they might not legally be or not medically be able to have. Yeah. So I was watching, I'm going to shout out Tim Cast IRL. I was watching him, and he actually called New York restaurants and said, hey, my friend has a medical exemption. His doctor says he cannot take this vaccine. It will adversely affect him. He cannot take it. Can we still come to your establishments? And they said no. They said that the law that de Blasio put in, he said, does not allow for any sort of medical exemptions at all.
Wow.
Which means that anybody with a medical problem that they can't get the vaccine, they are not allowed to participate in anything anymore.
Nope.
Unless they go against their doctor's wishes, get a vaccine that might adversely affect them.
They've been doing this from the start, though. They've been, putting in these laws that they don't consider personal health and safety. It's the same thing with the mask mandates. It's the same thing with everything else. Like they put these laws into place. They don't consider people with health issues or something that could be negatively affected by this. And they're like, okay, we're just going to put this blanket statement. On top of that, you see all these people coming out and they're saying, hey, get the vaccine, get the vaccine, get the vaccine. Not a single one of them is recommending that you talk to a doctor or talk to a medical professional in order to determine whether or not you are, able to get that vaccine.
They say go to Walmart.
They say go to some person. And it's the same thing with the test too.
Barely trained on how to jab you with a needle.
Yep. Right. It's the
and
same
get the vaccine.
Same thing with the test that check to see if you have COVID or not. Like I mean, my girl has very, very serious health conditions that, like, if you shove something up her nose and get her sick because of that, because you're not properly trained on some of that stuff, like you could cause some issues.
Like if it's not properly sanitized or if it's there's cross contamination or something like that. Yeah.
And that's
or just the material that it's made out of. Like no one knows what these tests are made out of. No one knows what that might not be a cotton swab. That might be some kind of mesh. That might be some kind of anything. Yeah, right.
I mean, the vaccine in itself,
they could have pre-dipped them hoes before they fucking shipped them out, right? Let's pre-dip them. Come on, no one knows.
Somebody over at CVS, they barely have a high school degree if they got one, and they're dropping that thing on the ground. Let's shove this up your nose. Yeah. Well, let's touch your brain cavity right now and see how it goes. I had a buddy that had a nosebleed for 5 days after they shoved that thing up his nose.
Because they're sharp, bro. Right. Like, can you imagine shoving something up your nose that's that small and that pointy?
Don't have to imagine. I've actually I went and got the COVID test twice.
See, first of all, I'm not letting them stick nothing in my nose. I did a swab in my mouth.
I will say this. Else, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I will say that the first COVID test I got when I came down with COVID, the first COVID test I got, I went to the emergency clinic basically, or emergency hospital, and got the test, and she was very gentle. She put it in, and she was.
Take you out for dinner
it was not. It was
did
not
she
bad
put
at
lube
all.
on it?
It was not. I mean, first time, right? Yeah, she did or something. I mean, it was
gentle.
It was
got the angle
perfect.
right.
Like,
it was perfect.
I did not feel anything because I kept hearing these stories of like, oh, it's awful. Like they go so far back and it's like almost like they're touching your brain. And I was like, man, I did not have that experience. Like it was perfectly fine.
Good.
and it came up positive, right? So I did have COVID, and it came up positive. When I went to go get retested to go back to work, so because I had to have a negative test to go back to work. When I went and got it, the dude that was there, I don't know if it was like his first day or if he just did not care or he had already tested. He already had tested.
You had a longer beard than him.
Maybe that was it. I know people get jealous, but he shoved it so far back, and not only so the first time I have a deviated septum on one side.
Yeah.
So he tried to go in that nostril first, and he was like, "Oh, this isn't working." And he was like jabbing it in. He's like, "Oh yeah, this isn't working." I was like, "No kidding." I said, "I have a deviated septum. Like if you just look in the nose, you can see that you can't get anything in there."
Right.
And so he was like, "Oh, I got to do the other side." I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
So did he pull it out and put the same one up the other nose?
Yeah. And so he takes it and goes into the other side.
Cross contamination of the
So
nostril.
far back in my memory, I swear to God, because I thought everybody was exaggerating. Like when they were saying, "Oh yeah, they touch your brain with it," I thought they were. And after the first one, I was like, "Oh, there's no way." Like they're just complaining for no reason.
Everybody has these little hair follicles in their nose, and they produce this mucus thing, and it kind of like catches bacteria and other things. And you wear that mask to breathe it back in, but
I wasn't wearing a mask.
It's kind of like. You pull that out of one nostril, you get all that good stuff, including a little bit of that blood that he was trying to pull out from the beginning.
He went so far in the back of my throat, I gagged.
It disappeared.
I gagged. I was like, oh. No, it was bad.
Me and him would have had some problems. Another man making me gag. I ain't playing that. That's not what we doing out here. All right,
that's too deep.
That's too deep.
Said her never, but okay.
Oh my God,
we're going with
it. So guys, quick question.
Quick answer.
Where in the hell did Biden go?
That's a great question.
Where did he go? Where did he walk the fuck off to? Like he just dipped the fuck out.
How did when they put that COVID vaccine in him and that chip? How did they not put a tracker in him?
I think it was a control.
I think he was at Cold Stone, man, getting ice cream. So, he liked that chocolate.
Yeah, everybody applaud that he got chocolate.
Yeah. Chocolate ice cream is good for people with dementia and that are suffering from Alzheimer's.
Dude, I saw something today, and I just got to go on a little side note, but it's like it said something about the fact that Jill Biden is worried about her husband's decline. I'm like, How did the Dr. Jill Biden not notice his decline?
Just now.
Like the greatest doctor in the world. How did she not? Oh yeah, she's not a real doctor.
Right?
There you go.
You'd think Fauci could have spotted that one.
I know, right?
No,
Man, you know.
droplets. You got to get the droplets.
You know what, man? I figured ever since that, what is his name again?
Which one?
All of them.
No, Mr. Doctor. You were just talking about.
Oh,
Fauci.
Fauci. Yeah, Fauci.
Sorry.
Fauci.
False-
Yeah, no,
Fauci-
the one lying out his ass.
Fucking Fauci.
He's going to put out information and then send
But-
emails that contradict it. Okay,
Right,
all right,
right,
we're
right.
good to go.
So my
Sounds about
question is like he should have handled this a lot better, being that he was the one that also handled the AIDS pandemic back in the 90s.
Well, that's why he's the greatest
That's
doctor
why
of
AIDS
all
cured.
time.
right.
Yeah,
right.
there are no AIDS in the world.
So now it kind of started making sense that he was the one that said AIDS came from somebody having sex with a monkey, and then now COVID came from somebody eating a fucking bat. Hey, bro.
You know what it is? You know what? Fuck the environmentalists. We need to kill all the animals. They're the ones causing all these problems.
Yeah.
Especially
that's
polar
it.
bears.
Why are we not dealing with
Mad
this?
cow disease, bird flu,
If
coronavirus.
we just get rid of all the stupid animals,
right?
we'd be set.
Apparently.
Pandas.
We'll keep a few in cages. That way we can eat them.
Right?
But
Right?
we'll quarantine them away.
Right.
And then
I don't know why pandas are still alive anyway. Like, they're pretty much the most useless animal in
They're
the world.
drunk.
They're
those
absolutely
and koala bears. Like,
Yep.
have you ever seen
See?
how stupid a koala bear is? Like, they'll literally.
Oh, I just had this discussion.
They'll eat eucalyptus.
Yeah.
They'll sit up in trees, eat eucalyptus, get so high that they fall out of the trees, and then just start attacking shit.
or
Have you
die
ever-
from the fall, you know.
Right?
Like, they're one of these stupidest animals. Like, and yet somehow they survived the
Natural
evolutional.
selection was going to take them off eventually, but
telling-
we kept them alive. Like we need to stop keeping animals that are doomed to fail like
Yeah.
alive.
Dude, I
That's
wanna
just
talk
Why
about
is a
that.
sloth still here? How is a sloth
going
here?
on the
Well, it's more efficient,
evolutionary track right now? Going on that little evolutionary track.
Oh no.
You were talking about, let them die off. All these stupid people that are doing this milk crate challenge right now.
I think it's hilarious. Why are we getting the old people?
Why are we just enjoy it? Just sit back and watch.
Just watch. Let
like
it do
it's
it.
going to be great.
It's going to be, it's
This
an
is
epic
the
fail.
greatest form.
You would appreciate this one. I saw a meme recently that was actually a military guy who's a recruiter. And it was like, I will give you my $7,000 paycheck for the next month if you can do the crate challenge in this office. Otherwise, you have to join the military. I was like, oh.
I would have did it. Give me that paper. And I
Man.
join afterwards.
Man.
Right?
But I mean, we got
Make some
so
money.
many. I mean, we go from Tide Pod to milk crates to whatever other stupid thing that people are coming up with.
Soap kills the virus.
Yeah, it does.
That's why you wash your hands.
I heard a cap of bleach.
That's why we
I thought
need to
it-
start
I
trying
thought it
the
was-
Tide Pods again.
I thought it was
I think
bleached
it
right
works out.
directly into the bloodstream.
I don't know.
What did it.
Yeah,
Oh, the
I think.
hydrochloroquine? Yeah.
Yeah. You know, they tried to say that they tried to say that Trump told us to take a cap of bleach, but like, hey, that really might work. We don't know what else will. Apparently, nothing else does work, so we might as well do some more experimental.
Sunlight.
I'm pretty sure me taking a cap of bleach as an experimental, way to, defeat COVID is nothing worse than me taking some experimental shot that they just pulled out their ass in
So,
4 months.
Digressing though, like the whole shot thing, like they're mandatory, like the whole thing about that, like they're trying to mandate this, but they're not really taking into consideration that people that actually already had COVID. And you
Yeah.
look at the studies coming out of what is it, Israel and everything. is
Yeah,
that if
out
you
of
already
Israel.
had the virus, like you're perfectly capable of fighting it off again because the antibodies that you get from actually developing and getting COVID
Right.
are actually better than
Regardless of what
percentage you
it's
get.
and
almost
regardless of
like-
what the variant is, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what the variant
Right.
is.
It's almost like your body has a natural way of dealing with stuff, like that it was created that way.
Yeah.
Take some
Isn't
more
that
vitamin
weird?
D.
Imagine that.
Jeez. Like
so-
I wonder what America would look like, guys. No, really. Let's imagine America right now.
Exercise in sunlight.
And if the United States government put billions of dollars into educating and like putting out commercials and all this stuff about how to be healthy,
Yeah.
how to eat right, how to keep yourself from getting sick. Dude, do you know America is probably like the most obese country it is the most obese country in the world. But we
Bro.
never talk about health.
My
And-
stocks in McDonald's are going to go down. Stop talking about that shit.
But not only just obesity, but just like health in general. Like when you talk about America being the number one in obesity, we're also number one in the amount of chemicals that we use in our products,
Pharmaceuticals
and opioids, and I mean, we're number one on a lot of stuff.
We got a lot of weed.
Right. Yeah. And even like
Europe could give us a run for their money.
True.
even like with tobacco use and stuff like that. So in other countries, when you go overseas and you like buy a pack of cigarettes or something like that, they have warnings on the pack of cigarettes. Not only just say, hey, this causes cancer, but they show pictures of what
lungs.
This will do to your lungs and what it looks like with a cancerous lung or heart disease or something like that. And we just don't care in this country.
No.
We gloss over everything that's bad for us, and it's all in the name of just consumerism.
Right.
Give me another double cheeseburger.
Right. And that's just because that's just a big reason for that is just like people love to live in their bubbles. People love to like live their best lives without worrying about what's truly happening to the next person.
Yeah.
That's why this whole COVID thing is throwing our country for a loop. It's because everybody just wants to get back to regular life. Everybody wants to get back to 2019.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody wants to get back to the point where they can do what they want, go where they want, not wear a mask, not worry about getting sick, and they want to get back to that, and they'll protect it, and they'll try to do anything to get it back. That's why we're separated now, because some people want so bad to be normal again.
I think there's like three major groups. There's a few outliers, but I think there's three major groups. There's the group that like definitely like we're like, hey, we just want to focus on ourselves, do what we're doing. There's a group that actually legitimately cares about other people, but there's this other group that's just wanting to like show people that they're somehow better than everybody and trying to like signal that they're doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not actually following what they're preaching.
Yeah.
And it's that hypocritical group that's kind of perpetuating a lot of these ideas.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, because you just saw recently this month, Obama had his party with 800 people there, right?
Nobody,
no mask.
Nobody masked.
Everybody
They're
lit.
vaccinated.
Everybody
Fine.
lit. Everybody lit, right?
Okay.
And then Pelosi had that dinner, and the only people who were wearing masks were the servants.
Right. So he just mentioned that you're vaccinated, so you're fine. There's studies coming out, PhD medical professionals that are saying that I'm sorry, but the vaccines,
is that a thing still?
The vaccines, nobody has ever said in the medical industry that vaccines prevent people from spreading
100%.
Yep.
You can still touch surfaces.
The flu vaccine never stopped people from spreading. If you contract it, even with the flu vaccine, if you contract the flu, you will still pass it around. So you got all these companies coming out now and saying, okay, we're going to require that you get a vaccine, and if you don't get the vaccine, then we're going to have you tested
every day.
Once.
They want you to be uncomfortable
once a week or whatever. How does that stop it from spreading?
Nothing.
It doesn't stop it from spreading because the people that aren't getting tested every week, the people with the vaccine that could still be passing the disease around, they're not getting tested, so they don't know if they're positive.
No.
So it's not to prevent. And I have a serious question to everybody: is where do you see this going to where everything can go back to normal? At what point can everything go back to normal? Because if your goal is zero COVID, there's no way that's ever going to happen.
It's never going away.
At this point, it is something that we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to learn to live with it in the same way that we live with the flu, the same way that we live with colds or whooping cough or all these other things that are a thing.
Chickenpox.
And we're just going to have to
Smallpox.
learn how to deal with it. So what is your end goal? If your end goal is to nobody gets COVID anymore, then you're just lying to yourself.
Facts.
Then you're in a perpetual state of being disappointed at this point because there's nothing that's going to stop this virus from being in our lives now.
Right.
It's just here.
Dude, we were all scared, okay? When all this popped off, we were all scared. Everyone in the world was scared. That's why we all agreed to be locked down for the 90 days.
Well, it was supposed to be 15 days to slow the
Oh,
spread.
yeah. It was 15 days to slow the spread, beat the curve.
And then it was 3 months.
Yeah.
And then it was 6 months.
Bro,
it was a year.
We literally were locked in our homes for 90 days, bro.
I went to the beach.
Well, of course. I did a couple of things because the government ain't going to tell me nothing. But 90 days, bro. Let's just take that.
Well, even us being in Texas, we didn't have it nearly as we locked down. Locked down.
I was at H-E-B on a regular eating snacks.
Right. So, but at the same point, like all these essential businesses were allowed to go out. Like if you're going to do an
Amazon,
actual lockdown,
billionaires.
then it has to be a lockdown.
What
Yeah.
the fuck is an essential business?
That's what makes me wonder. Like an essential business in my mind is anything that provides somebody with an income.
Last time I checked, that little mom and pop shop selling arts and crafts pays somebody's wage to put food on the table.
Which would classify it as essential.
Pretty essential. And it's also spreading it less than those major businesses.
Facts. And on the other hand, we're thinking about this. I heard that this year alone, 10 new billionaires have been added to the list.
Yeah.
10. There were only a handful of billionaires before 2019.
And again,
when you illegally shut down all your competition, it looks pretty good for profit margins.
And that goes to the whole fact of, Democrats have always, traditionally been anti big corporation.
Facts.
So how on earth are they okay, or how were they okay with only shutting down the small business owners,
right.
with only shutting down the people that weren't essential?
Right.
Like, it makes no sense. Like, the amount of times the Democrat Party can contradict itself amazes me.
Right. And that people believe it, though. That's what kills me. People actually listen to the things that these people say.
Well, it's because everything in the media is just like twisted to the point to where, and if that's the only way, like, okay, so I know a lot of Democratic people that are slightly older. And that's just their traditional way of getting media.
Yeah.
They don't sit and listen to podcasts anymore. They don't listen to, read articles. They get their media from, big media.
Big media.
That's where they get their news from. And so when you have these establishments that are able to twist and turn every story, because they got a large team. Like, if me and you were going to sit down and try to twist stories or something like that, it would take us so much time just to figure out how to do that. These corporations, these big news outlets, they have so many resources to be able to change their narrative so
Sway
fast.
people to go the other way.
They got support all over the place.
So they're able to do this, and they're able to do it in a large way.
Right.
Now, what we're finding is that a lot of younger generation that get a lot of their news from Facebook and other social media outsources,
independent sources,
right? They're starting to get away from the big media, and they're
I
starting
haven't
to distrust.
When was the last time you watched the new? But besides the election, I'm sure all of us kind of like tuned into the election just to see what was going on.
News just about every day.
Yeah.
And and a lot of that goes to I want to be able to know what they're saying. So I watch Fox News, I watch CNN, and I watch MSNBC.
Okay,
those are the big three that I watch.
Yeah. I think I watch Fox.
I don't.
I watch the clips of like CNN. So I don't watch it as much. I listen to it on the radio, like the old school thing in your vehicle that like you can turn on. It doesn't just have to be Bluetooth,
right?
it can have other things that
there's signals. There's an imaginary. There's like an invisible signal or something that goes to that.
AM, FM.
Yeah, it's weird.
Are you saying that magic runs my radio? What's
going on?
It's amazing.
Hey! Back in boot camp when I was learning about electricity, my chief told me what electricity was. He says PFM. Stands for pure fucking magic. It's like, makes sense to me. I'm a believer.
Right. But when we're talking about all of this stuff, man, we're really talking about how, as a country, we're divided right now after we were already divided, right?
Yeah.
So they're taking all of these different things and they're using it to put themselves in more power, right? Now, if we think about every American, Joe Biden said that 350 Americans have been vaccinated, but if we're going to be honest, there's only like 315 Americans. There's 315 million,
333 million.
Okay,
yeah,
something like
people
that
in the United States.
Yeah, but but basically he said every American in the United States plus some invisible friends have been vaccinated.
Well, those are the ones that vote for him.
Yeah. Oh, maybe those were illegal. Maybe those were the illegal immigrants he let in.
No, because there were 100,000 of those people.
Dude, if we were going to get into the border, we're going to be here all night.
Oh my god!
What border?
What border?
We'll get into. We'll hopefully drop another episode.
All about the border.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, we're gonna.
But I think for right now, I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping this one up.
Yeah, we're good.
We're praying for everybody over in Afghanistan that's trapped in a hostage situation right now, because that's what it is. This point.
And thanks for everyone who's independently going over there and using your own money, your own resources to save our people, man. And we truly appreciate y'all, man. We thank y'all for that.
Our government's not doing the right job, and we appreciate every single person that's going out there and doing the right thing and helping these people. Australia, I don't know how to help y'all. I mean, y'all gave up your rights a long time ago, and this is just you're reaping the benefits of it. And I mean, hey, but in hindsight, y'all don't have any mass shootings, so yay.
True. Yay, right?
Only stabbings.
Yeah. Hey, them kangaroos got hands. I don't know about y'all, but they be putting people to sleep over there.
I want to box a kangaroo one day.
And I want to record
That
it.
would be so much fun. Can we set that up with somebody?
Jeez.
Let's do that.
Only if we can record it.
I don't know.
No, we'll record it for sure.
Yeah. It's gonna be. We're gonna have drone footage because when it like picks you up and slings you, I
can take a freaking kangaroo. I don't know many animals
dude
that I'm
also said
afraid
you
of.
could take
Like I wouldn't be afraid of most animals.
This
Like,
guy
you
also
mean
said
like
he'd
a
take
full?
a lion.
Are you talking about like a full-grown kangaroo or like a teenage kangaroo? Because the teenagers are kind of like human size.
Whichever one's bigger. I still think I could take it.
Bro, I don't
It's
see
a
them kangaroos walking around like Ronnie Coleman,
I
bro.
feel like a kangaroo, I would knock it out in 1 second. Like it'd be one and done. We lost our camera again. So
oh my gosh. So
all right.
so we're gonna wrap up. Thanks everybody. We appreciate y'all sticking around. Give us a like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Go check us out on Instagram, Against the Grain Show at Against the Grain Talk Show.
It's Against the Grain Talk Show on IG and Facebook.
Yep. So go check us out, and we'll be back with more episodes later. And we appreciate Evan coming on.
Thank you so much, bro. Good having
you coming
you.
on and sharing your thoughts with us. Maybe we'll have you back again sometime soon.
Yeah.
So
all right, man.
See y'all.
Everybody be easy.